Hello, Friday. Happy Friday. May the 4th be with you. It's Star Wars Day. Did you know that?
It is. Yeah, I did know that.
Okay. May the 4th. Y'all, this is Nicholas. He is an ad sales guy from the Dallas Voice, and he's going to sit in with me today because Israel is having car trouble, unfortunately, and Brandy is working on a project, a very special project, and we're going to be very excited for her. Nicholas works for Dallas Voice. He's an ad salesperson. Been here. How long have you been with us, Nicholas?
It's been about 3 months now.
3 months?
Mm-hmm.
Seems like just yesterday. Nicholas also used to be a bartender, so he's going to help us out with our special Tres Agaves tequila margarita tasting today. In case you didn't know, today is May 4th, which means that tomorrow is May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, and that is a celebration of Mexican culture. I'm sweating. It's hot in my office. Forgive me. Right? So, a lot of people think that Cinco de Mayo is Mexican Independence Day, and that's not correct. Mexican Independence Day is September 16th, I think?
Something
15th?
like that. Something like that.
It's in September. I wrote it down and just left my notes. But Cinco de Mayo celebrates a battle in the city of Puebla in 1861. The president of Mexico was the first native president of Mexico, president of Mexico, and he'd taken over in the country. It wasn't his fault, but the country was going bankrupt, and they owed money to all these European governments. And so Britain, Spain, and France sent their navies over here to threaten Mexico, basically. So President of Mexico made a deal with Great Britain and with Spain, and they're like, okay, we're, payment plan, we're going to go home. But Napoleon III decided he would be a jackass, and he was going to he was going to take over Mexico and, have his own, expand his empire. So I read all this today. So he sent his soldiers in there, and the president of Mexico he'd been run out of Veracruz, I think, was where the capital was. I think that's what I read. But he got all of these, like 200 soldiers or something, very small force of Mexican soldiers, and they made a stand at the city of Pueblo, and all of this huge force of French soldiers under Napoleon III came in and tried to defeat them and could not. And it happened on May the 5th, 1861, in the city of Pueblo. It was a great victory. It was not the final victory in that war, but it was very symbolic. So, from what I understand, Cinco de Mayo, there's somebody about to come through here. We're just going to wave at them when they do. Oh my gosh, it's Michael! Michael, come in! Michael was going to be here as our special guest.
I'm late. Hi.
Can we see Michael? There he is. Mike, good. You get to taste. You know Nicholas? Michael, this is Nicholas.
No.
This is Michael. He was going to be my special guest with Israel, and Israel has car trouble. And it's
I'm not surprised. He has like a 1920s, like the first ever
van, yes.
prototype of a van.
So I was talking about Cinco de Mayo and explaining that in Mexico, Cinco de Mayo is not a big deal, really. It is in Puebla because that's where the battle happened.
Yeah.
But
I actually just learned that. I'm super embarrassed.
You just learned this?
I just learned that.
Were you one of the ones who thought it was Mexican Independence Day?
For a couple of years, yes. Because
that's in September. We can have margaritas in September again.
Right.
We do Pride and Mexican Independence Day. But in the United States, from what I understand, in Mexico they don't celebrate it. It's not a big deal.
Oh, I know that.
It's not a big holiday there. In Puebla, where the battle was, they do, yay, they have kind of a celebration, but it's not a countrywide thing. Here in the United States, people have kind of taken, from what I understand, people of Mexican descent here celebrate it as a symbol of their culture, a day to celebrate Mexican culture. White people, we just take it as a day to wear stupid hats and drink tequila.
Yes.
And eat tacos. Personally, I eat tacos all the time, and I did not mean that in a dirty way. But today, because the folks at Tres Agaves have sent us some samples here.
Cool.
We have a Tres Agaves Blanco.
Okay, well, that's not a sample. That's like the actual whole bottle.
It is about, well, I'm calling it a sample. And we have the Reposada. Do you know the difference between a Blanco and a Reposada? White and gold.
Yeah.
Gold, it's like, from what I'm just reading, if you go on our website, on our blog, I posted some recipes that they sent. And there's one for Blanco, and it says Blanco is unaged, or this Blanco is unaged. And then there's the Reposada, and there's a recipe for Reposada, and it is aged, I don't know how long, but it is an aged tequila. And there is a third one that I don't have that they have that's añejo. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Añejo?
Anejo, yeah.
So,
And it is aged even further, and it's a little darker color than this one. So I'm assuming that, I'm not a tequila connoisseur. Do
Yeah.
you drink a lot of tequila?
not on a regular, but I grew up. My mom used to drink it a lot, and
Okay. My mom likes margaritas.
We're Mexican. I mean, it's not like
Oh yeah,
we
Garza,
drink it
of course.
every day, but it was like kind of a staple when I was growing up. But I learned it's just silver and gold. It wasn't until
Okay.
later, probably like when I was like getting into like adult, like 18, 20s,
Mhm.
is when I kind of figured out the reposada and like all that stuff, the age, and the
Okay.
different brands. The brand matters so much
Well,
with tequila.
yes, yes it does, trust me on that. Cheap tequila is not a good thing. I'm assuming that you go like Blanco is like here, and then step up to the Reposado, and then step up to the
But it also
Añejo.
depends on like, cause it has different flavors. and
Okay,
it
it's
depends
just
on
a
what,
flavor
what
thing.
you wanna like mix it with will make,
Okay.
will determine like the best recipe for like a margarita, or the best recipe for like a tequila sunrise kind of
Okay,
stuff.
okay. Well, since this is my bartender for the day, I'm going to send you to make us a couple. He's
Okay.
gonna make, like a couple with the Tres Agaves and a couple with the Reposada. I mean, with the Blanco and Reposada. We have, regular margarita mix from them, and we have a strawberry flavored margarita mix.
Okay.
So
I'm
we're
not
gonna-
remember, yeah.
So we're gonna try one of both, and he might bring us like a little shot
A little
glass
shot.
with a sip to see what it tastes like. Bring one for
Okay.
yourself. There should be back there.
I
Oh,
will be-
take your phone
Okay.
and make sure that we're streaming on the Voice Facebook page, the way we're supposed to.
She's like, but still do your job.
Yeah, still be a bartender, but help me out. Okay, have you looked at the paper today?
No, I never do until I do
Until-
the show. And it's not because I don't want to, it's just that when I'm out,
You're supposed
it's
to
not
get up
like
and carry it.
100% like, oh, the Dallas boys, I gotta take it.
Oh,
But if
no,
it's,
it better be.
I mean, it's, it
You'll
is
never be on my
convenient
show
though.
again.
It is convenient because we were at, Out of the Closet yesterday and it wasn't out yet, right? Because it's the first day it's out.
Today it came out, yeah, it comes out on
Okay.
Fridays.
And I go to Italian Express and they're always like, there's this log tape what they have. And it's usually just right there. I mean, it's convenient, I just sometimes forget.
Okay, don't forget. Okay, well, today's issue, the May 4th issue, I don't know how well you can see that. There you go. The cover story is about a young woman named Marina Petrano, and she is an aerialist and a contortionist and an acrobat, and she's one half of an act called Circa Brava. That's CIRQA Brava, and they are performing through the end of this month at Scarborough Renaissance Festival out down in Waxahachie. And Marina is an openly lesbian performer. Her partner, Maria, travels with them and travels with the show and helps kind of as a roadie. Her show partner is Jennifer Buellman, and she and her husband is a performer who is at Scarborough as well. I believe he's the insult comedian that wanders around down there. So it's a great story, very fun show. They do the aerial silks, and that always amazes me. You have to be so strong.
That's
Yeah,
that
you're-
right?
Yes, where they're like hanging up, you see this?
Like on the
This is
fabric.
like right down here is the bottom of the house. So they have to be so strong to be able to do that and be graceful. I mean, it's not like you can just hang up there and hang on and wrap your feet around it. You know, they hang from these banners and.
Yeah, Pink does this in her show.
Yes,
and
exactly.
she was just here. I don't know if she did two shows, right? I know she did at least one.
Okay.
And that's what she started incorporating that into her shows, and I thought it was really, really cool. It's very different for
We're
her.
not.
Not on the Facebook page.
Hang on. I'm not sure if we are broadcasting live here. We are supposed to be.
Yeah, people be.
We have people viewing, we're good. People are seeing us.
Maybe it's just your friends.
Maybe that's it, but they have to be able to see us. And look on my Facebook page, maybe I'm on my Facebook page. It's supposed to be on the Dallas Voice. I'm sorry, technical difficulties once again. Anyway, we have that story in here, but there's other stuff in the paper as well. Oh, before I forget, we have 2 tickets to Scarborough Fair to give away, and first person that logs on and says, I want Scarby tickets, you can have 2 free tickets.
Not
to
scurvy tickets.
Not scurvy
Scarby
tickets,
tickets.
Scarby tickets. First couple people to log on and show us. I think you are all looking at my feed right now. There we go. I'm new to this. My person who handles this isn't here. He's stuck on the side of the road in a bad van. There's other stories in the paper this week. David Taffet has written about a series of workshops that just wound up called Racial Healing, Black Element, United Black Element, and Abounding Prosperity are kind of the ones, the forces behind those workshops, getting them put on. We also have a story about a very significant donation made this week. Tony Bobrow, who's the owner of the Hidden Door since like 1988, passed away back in February.
I was gonna say, didn't he just pass away?
Yes, he died in February. The man who started the Hidden Door in 1979, his name was Jim Roberts. Jim opened the bar. I believe he had 2 bars. He had the Hidden Door Corpus Christi, I think. Or maybe it was Galveston. I can't remember. But he had one in one of the coastal cities, and then he had another bar down there called the Other Door. I don't know how long those lasted, but the Hidden Door has been around since 1979. Jim Roberts, everybody called him Pollock. He died in 1988, and after he died, Tony took over as the owner. And when Jim died, his estate went into a trust fund, or a trust, that they used to make donations here and there and help people out. And when Tony died this past year, his estate went into the Anthony Bobrow Trust. So they had the Jim Roberts Trust and they had the Anthony Bobrow Trust. And this week, the 2 trusts came together and they kind of used the last of the funds in the Jim Roberts Trust. And then the first funds to be donated from the Anthony Bobrow Trust, plus they added some in from another fund that had been set up to help pay for cremations. Like in the early 1990s, they established this fund, so when someone in the community with HIV or AIDS passed away and they couldn't afford a funeral, they could, this fund would give them the money, would give the survivors the money to pay for cremation services for them, so they wouldn't be in the pauper cemetery, the pauper's grave. So there was a little bit of that left. So they, 13,500. So basically what happened is they took money from, the last of the money from the Jim Roberts Fund and some money from the Anthony Bobrow Trust, and altogether it was $250,000, $250,000. And then they had this 13,500, I can't remember, that they, from the other fund that they divided into 3. They divided the 250,000 into 3, and the other fund into 3, and basically were able to give donations of $87,533 to each to 3 different organizations. Legacy Counseling Center.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Resource Center, and AIDS Interfaith Network, which is AIN. Now they have a DBA, a doing business as named Access and Information Network. So That's huge, that's a huge donation, and that came from these two funds, and Harvey Meisner, he is the president and general manager now of the Hidden Door Incorporated, that company that runs the bar, which is all part of the trust. And he made a point of saying that, you know, this is just the first of a lot of donations to come, because we have this Anthony Bobrow Trust, which is substantial enough to be self-sustaining, so that every year they'll be able to make donations to worthy causes in our community. So that story's in here. There's some history there for people not familiar with it. David Webb has written about all of the protests and stuff that's going on this weekend surrounding NRA.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he does have an interview with a young woman named Lorena Sanabria. Lorena Sanabria is a student in Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, in Florida. She was there during the shooting. She lost friends, and she talked to David. He was in Florida not that long ago, and he met her, and she talked to him about why she and the other students there are so insistent on keeping the protest alive, keeping this cause alive, to fight against the NRA. So we also have, this is also our wedding issue, and so most of the Life and Style department section this week is about weddings. And Jenny Block is a regular contributor. She's a columnist once a month, and she and her wife just recently were married, and she talks about her wedding and how you can make your wedding day special. And then there are other stories with a lot of interesting information for people who are planning weddings. Next month is June. That's wedding day.
We're going to Rainbow Ranch.
When are you going to Rainbow Ranch?
July 13th, 14th, and 15th.
Oh.
Me and my friend Ben and Israel's supposed to come on, and my other friend Absalom is supposed to come with us.
Absalom, that's a wonderful name.
It's really weird. I really thought it was like some like fictional character.
It's from the Bible, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's like one of like Jonathan and Saul, and is that right?
I have no idea, but I had to look
look,
at his ID.
look what we've got.
Ooh, yes. Okay, forget about that.
There's no salt.
Do we have salt?
There's salt.
There's no salt.
Oh, I'll come back with salt.
Look
So
at
this
that. Now,
first
which one is this?
So that's the Blanco with the original margarita mix, and then this is the reposado with the original margarita mix.
This is Blanco with,
Yes.
with original and reposado.
Yes. And I'm gonna be right back with little shots of both, so you can try them.
Okay. Which one do you want to try? Or do you want to wait on some salt?
Yeah.
We're gonna wait on some salt. We're gonna try these out. They really smell pretty good.
Yeah, you can smell it.
Mm-hmm. I hope he remembers we have to travel.
I'll just leave my car here. I'll leave the car here.
I'm not gonna leave her to Fort Worth.
Oh my gosh.
So that's kind of an overview of everything that's in the paper. There's, as always, at the beginning of the paper, you have the gay agenda. Tells you, it's a calendar that tells you everything that's going on. There's an arts and entertainment calendar in the lifestyle section in the back. And then also further in the back, at the very back, we have the scene section that tells you what's going on in the bars this weekend with photos from around the community. Let's see, obviously the NRA convention is going on all weekend at K. Bailey Hutchinson.
Oh, did
Convention
you?
Center.
I'm
Yes.
sure you heard that Vice President Mike Pence was restricting guns from.
Oh yeah, they're not. They won't allow especially during the Pence and Trump speeches. You can't have a gun in the NRA convention. I'm not sure if you can any other time either.
Well, I find it very hypocritical that
Yeah.
at their holy grail of conventions, you can't carry your gun with you, and I'm like,
As they fight for the right to carry.
as they fight for the right to carry their gun, and I'm like, okay, this makes no sense, but whatever.
I know. Oh, look at this. All right.
Your Blanco and reposado.
Blanco and reposado
It's
and
the more
Blanco.
golden one, yes.
Oh my god, I'm nervous
And
already.
then, what are you doing here?
Hmm.
Oh, look, he's pouring them. He's so good.
You have
Aww.
With some salt.
you have a little bit of salt on it.
He's the keeper.
He is. We're not going to let him go. So that's going on. As he we're going to talk about serious things as we get a margarita.
As we get a first.
Purple Party is this weekend. No, I'm lying.
Next weekend, I think. Next weekend? What day do we want?
Oh, there's a screw up there. Purple Party is next weekend. Tomorrow there's a screening of a movie called 1985. Here, let's taste this. That smells good.
Let's see. Mmm.
Good?
Oh, yes.
Okay, that's the Blanco, right? Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, that's so good. So good.
Quite smooth. I like it's. They're sweet. Do you want to take a taste of the
Yeah.
Reposado? I don't have any terms. I promise.
Oh, good, I do.
Okay, I'll share them. Because I'm going to try this. This is the Blanco.
Oh, you can taste the difference.
Oh yeah.
At least I can.
I can, and I'm not even a connoisseur of tequila.
But
That's
that's what's
good.
so weird about it. So I've
Now, tell me about the different flavors here. What do you see?
I don't know a lot about the whole different flavors, but I've heard that you do blanco,
Mhm.
so silver tequila with like tequila. One sip with tequila sunrise.
Okay.
I've seen people do that, but for the most part, I see people do gold with margaritas.
Okay, gold is a margarita one.
That's what I've seen. But I mean, it's really at the end of the day, it's to your flavor.
Grab a little bit. Yeah, great. That's fine. That's fine. I'm just going to shake it in my glass. You can. Oh, you're going to make us the strawberry
Sure,
one now.
yes.
Oh, man, I love having a bartender. So, but you think the margarita is usually the gold?
I do, and some people actually put orange juice in their margaritas.
Yeah, there's the recipes online. There's like 3 different ones, and one I couldn't drink. It's like habanero or jalapeno.
Oh, no.
I couldn't do that.
No.
It would. No, I can't.
That's not
I can't do
good.
that.
I cannot.
But there's different recipes. One recipe for each: the blanco, the reposado, and the anejo. Can learn to say that.
I hope
Probably-
I hope I pronounced that right correctly too, because I can't roll my R's. I can't like do a lot of like the accent marks, the masculine and feminine. I always either forget them or mix them up. So.
Now, but
I'm not the best on that either.
you were not. But I mean, you have Hispanic heritage, but you're not like you didn't grow up in Mexico or something.
No, I didn't grow up in Mexico, but
You're not a dreamer.
no, all I do dream. So when I was growing up, my grandparents were daycare, like most parents are, or most
Mhm.
grandparents are. And so when I was growing up, I was learning how to speak English at home and learning how to speak Spanish with my grandparents.
Oh, okay.
And so a lot of the words I never really picked up, like I
Mhm.
could never really grasp like that word, or I didn't know what the word was for a certain thing, so I would have to describe what I want, which
Mm-hmm.
can be a lot difficult sometimes because you're trying to use 14 words to describe one action. But the rolling of the R's never picked up, and I always mix up my masculine and feminine pronouns.
That's understandable, honey.
Yeah. Well, I just bought a bow. I just bought a bow at Toys R Us because they're going on sale. They're going out of
A
business.
bow.
A little hair bow.
Oh, I thought you meant like a bow.
Oh no.
Again, we're mixing up their masculine and feminine. So.
But yeah, so I always mix those up, and then the accent marks.
Okay. Now, you know what somebody told me one time is, I mean, I took 3 years of Spanish in high school, but I could not.
Yeah,
carry
so
on.
did I.
It's been a longer time for me in high school than you in high school. But I could not carry on a conversation with a Spanish-speaking person
It's hard, even for me. It's hard.
because, you know, I don't know it well enough, and I never did. They, you know, and native speakers speak very fast. And so, I'm like, okay, I think I know what you're saying. But they said, when you really start to learn it and understand it, it's when you just know what you're talking about in that language without having to translate it into English,
Oh yeah.
right? And I never learned to do that. I'm going to translate it back time. Which one? Let's see, this is the,
I think that one's the.
this is reposada. Let's try that. I'm going to try that one again.
Yeah, I'll carry on conversations with my friends in Spanish, Like my friend
Yeah.
Absalon, he speaks Spanish, and we'll talk, but there's some words that we just don't know.
Yeah.
I think that one's better.
You like this one better?
Yeah.
I'm trying to decide how to describe the difference in the flavors. I mean, I can taste the mix for sure, because it has that distinctive margarita taste to it.
This one tastes a little sweeter. Yeah, you don't get that?
Yeah, I do.
And I
But I
don't
wasn't sure if it
know-
was just me.
Well, I don't know if the mix and alcohol ratio is not proportion, but it tastes a little sweeter.
This is the.
Are we
You
gonna
don't have to shoot it.
Oh,
but
are we
this-
gonna
take a
shoot
sip.
it?
There's some salt if you wanna. I'm not about to shoot anything here.
Here.
I would be in a lot of trouble if I did.
Just do a little sip with me.
Okay. Up. Spill. Pick this up. Okay. A little bit of this. We don't have a lime.
Ooh, I know we should get a lime.
That's
Ooh.
smooth.
It is. It is smooth, but it's kind of like wasabi. Sometimes it kind of like wakes everything up, like all the flavors in your mouth and the taste buds and everything. And I always get this thing where, and it happens with pretty much anything, whether it's a mixed shot, straight, whether it's, what's it called?
Cocktail. What?
Whether it's well or top
well,
shelf,
or
like
yeah.
it really doesn't matter. I always get this like automatic, not burning sensation, but like an automatic like boom, alcohol is in your mouth, like the roof, the back part up of the roof of my mouth. It always hits that, and it always like kind of wakens me up, and it's kind of like but that is really really smooth. That's not bad at all.
Oh no.
I mean, just like everybody probably in high school or just out of high school, I've had really bad tequila.
Oh, absolutely.
I feel like that's a cultural hurdle you need to go over.
when you're at a certain level, you're like, I got this much money and I can buy that cheap stuff in the plastic bottle, and we're gonna drink that. Yay!
Yeah. I don't know. But then what I found, this could just be me, is that I wouldn't do well anything. Like it was always like Tito's or Smirnoff or whatever. And then at one point, somebody had bought me a well drink, and it had a lot more flavor, ironically, than the top shelf drinks did.
Look at this. Okay.
Ooh, is that the strawberry one?
Yes.
Let's try this out.
This is the strawberry blanco, and it does have sugar on the rim, not salt,
Ah.
and not Splenda, and not sweetened over sugar.
Okay.
And that's the reposado one right there.
Now what? All right. Sit down.
Yeah, have you tried any of these?
Well, just when I was making them, yes.
You're welcome to.
Oh,
taste.
she's already buzzed. That's why we got
Had to
sugar
make sure
instead of salt.
had to make sure they tasted good.
Okay. So before we taste these, tell us what.
Yeah, is the ratio...
Which one do you like? What?
Yeah, like is the ratio good for, like is it the same ratio that you used for the Blanco with the Reposado?
I did keep the same ratio with those ones. These
Okay,
ones,
so then
these
the-
ones I bought a little bit more, but that one I was like almost exact.
Okay. So now we were talking about the. This is the reposada, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, I can tell. This one had a little
Well,
more
then, yeah.
salt, and this one's a little more.
Oh, yeah,
bold.
that's true.
That one seemed sweeter to us when we tasted it. Would that be because we were tasting the mix more with that one?
So also, I mean, what it could have been too, because especially when you're coming to making drinks right one after each other, using the same shaker with the ice already kind of partially melted, ice will automatically kind of, the second time around it will actually melt a little bit faster. So it makes the second one almost a little bit more watery, which kind of is maybe why it's a little bit, feels a little bit sweeter.
But what would be the difference? Have you tell us if you've tasted these? Tell us what you think about the flavors, because Michael likes this one,
Yeah, I like that one.
and I think I preferred that one.
So the reposado is a lot smoother. I feel like this one's almost a little bit sweeter. That one's just a lot smoother and easier to drink. That's usually what happens with the better quality tequila.
That the reposado is smoother. Okay, because I still like that one.
Because I mean,
And
yeah,
this one
because
tastes
this
sweeter
one
than
this one tastes almost just like a true margarita, but you know when you start
To
getting
me.
up, when you start,
See, I thought this one tastes more like a true margarita to me.
And I thought it was that one.
well, it depends on what your
I was gonna say,
basis of true. Like if you're drinking Patron margaritas all the time, then you're probably
Yeah.
gonna, you know, think it's gonna be a lot smoother than drinking well margaritas that you get. You know, it's just that.
Yeah, because.
and then it also depends on if you add the splash of orange juice
Mhm.
or if you add like the extra little garnishes and like minor flavors that make a huge impact.
Which one's which?
Vodka.
Blanco, I was gonna say that one's reposado. Okay, let's try
And they
these.
do have sugar on it.
The sugar, why sugar instead of salt?
Because it's strawberry and it's already gonna be a little bit sweeter, so it kind of you know adds a little bit extra sweetness to it.
Yeah, it does.
'Cause
Here,
it
This
tends
is fine.
yeah. So I mean,
I want
it's
someone to comment on my lovely glasses that I got too.
I really like this one more.
That one,
The
see,
Blanco.
I like this one more. And I wouldn't have thought I would like the sugar on there, but I do.
I'm a salt person full on when it comes to any kind of like margarita.
Yeah,
I
I
feel
like
like
this though.
Because I'm real particular with my normal drink, because I just drink a regular vodka tonic with the lime, and I need the lime. Like the lime makes, it's like the small little like squirt of juice, but it cuts the alcohol flavor, and it kind of brings out like the lime flavor. Like it mixes everything together, and it just tastes really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the same with margaritas. Like I need the salt. Like I don't care if it's really, really sweet or not sweet at all. I need the salt.
Okay. See, I would not have thought of putting sugar on a margarita because I'm like you. I like the salt. I like that salt flavor. But this, man, this just tastes like a piece of candy, you know?
yeah.
And you can just, this is the kind of drink that you get in trouble with because it's just very smooth.
That's the
Right?
problem,
It's
though.
very smooth, it's very sweet, and you just, oh yeah, I'm just gonna drink this all damn day.
Uh-huh.
And you
Like
are
it's
just
really, really good.
snockered on the floor.
And you don't know how much you're drinking because you don't
Mhm.
feel it.
Yeah.
And you just feel like it's like a mimosa. Like if it's a good proportion,
That's
you're not
true.
going to feel it at all.
Right, until you feel it.
Until you stand up.
Yeah, until
And
you,
then you
then you
fall.
feel that floor as it smacks your
Yeah.
face.
Right.
So, well, you know what? We don't have just a ton of time today, but I wanted, as we're sipping on our margaritas, this made me think about something that I've seen a lot of on Facebook and some of the other social media this week. It's about cultural appropriation.
I wrote that in one of my papers.
Did you? But there was a story that I've seen on Twitter and on Facebook, and those, I don't really do a lot of the other social media, but those two things about a young woman who had, for her prom, ordered the Chinese, ching song, I'm not.
I don't know the.
It's the Chinese style dress with the silk, you know, with the.
Oh, and it has the buttons down here.
Yeah.
I think it comes like
And
like 3 or 4 buttons.
I'm sorry that I can't pronounce that properly, but, oh, and if anybody's wondering about the tickets for, Scarborough Fair, at the end of this, I will see who commented on them, and I'll make sure you get the tickets. I'll contact you and make sure you get them. But, this young woman had gotten this dress and wore that as her prom, and she put a picture of it on,
Like Facebook or something.
Facebook or
Social
Twitter, one of those, and somebody really this guy came in and just really hammered her.
media. Like went in.
But how dare you appropriate this cultural deal? And I understand about cultural appropriation, and you know, you see it a lot, but I don't think that was cultural appropriation. And since we're talking about Cinco de Mayo, I think it's kind of an appropriate topic. And you guys both have Hispanic backgrounds or some heritage there. What do you think about it?
Well, so for the Toast to Life with the Resource Center, they did Bollywood this past
Yes.
this past event, and I was very concerned about cultural appropriation, and I didn't want to offend the culture. I didn't want to make fun of it because I went in a sari, and I wanted to be as traditional as possible. I didn't want to like make fun of it or over exaggerate it because there are a lot of like slutty costumes that are just
Yes.
that.
Yes.
It is offensive, and it's really not cute, and it's not appropriate. Not for a normal day. If it's Halloween, fine, whatever. Everyone's appropriated during Halloween.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
so I was told not to wear, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, the beady, the gem for the third eye. And I was like so grateful for them telling me that, because I would have been the one that's like, oh cool, I don't want to be offensive, let me do everything traditionally, and then wear the jewel for the third eye, and then be plastered and like, you know, kind of stoned with everybody like throwing comments and stuff at me. But personally, I don't think it's a big deal, but that's just me. I mean, with a different culture, yes, that's not my culture. I didn't grow up with that. That's their heritage and their history. By all means, if they get offended by something, or if they feel something's being appropriated, then that's their prerogative. For me, as long as you're not wearing a sombrero and you're like kneeled on someone's porch, then I'm fine.
And it's the big.
Yeah, with the big exaggerated mustache. What do you think?
So when it comes to, you know, just in general design, you know, when it comes to wearing, you know, like a sari, or wearing, you know, any of the traditional gowns, or, you know, outfits, or like even the dress, I mean, I don't feel like that is, you know, really any sort of appropriation, in that you're really, you know, you're kind of embracing the culture. You know, it's different when you're, you know, when you do have,
Like the third eye?
or when you do have like a sombrero and a mustache, and you're very obviously stereotyping, you know, a person or, you know, a culture, versus just acknowledging, you know, for example, you know, when it comes to wearing old-timey,
Like Western?
or, you know, like even with like the old Victorian, you know, the Victorian style dresses
okay.
and stuff like that, you know, it's a culture thing, you know, you wanna look, you know, kind of, you dress in that culture because you're kind of appreciating how beautiful it is. Because a lot of times, you know, especially when it comes to dresses and outfits, they're beautiful, but it's when you cross the line into, you know, the mocking side of it, or where you're trying to kind of, you know, give into the stereotype, that I feel like is when it becomes an actual issue.
This is my view, the window through which I see it. I look at it through, you know, the Native American stuff, because you've seen through the years it was very popular, you know, to do all of the Native American kind of spirituality, and as if, you know, first of all, Native American culture is homogenous across, and it's not, because, you know, the culture differs from one tribe to the next. You can't say, oh, this is Native American spirituality, because it may be something similar to what this tribe would have practiced, but this group over here is completely different.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure that, you know, you can't say Mexican culture is homogenous either. There are different aspects to different areas, and to me, there's a difference between a fashion and a culture. If you take something that is kind of a religious, some sort of apparel that has some sort of religious significance to it, perhaps the third eye stone here has some sort of religious or connotation or cultural connotation beyond what the fashion means. But this dress that this young woman wore to prom, I look at that and I'm like, this company, probably based in China, makes these dresses and markets them to a wider audience. They want people to buy these dresses and wear them. You're not appropriating your culture. Their culture, you're wearing a fashion, as long as you're not making fun of it.
Yeah, like if she was wearing, and if it looked tasteful, I've never seen those pictures. I don't know.
I've actually never seen the picture of her in the dress. I just saw the
I
story
thought
about
it was
it.
beautiful. I
it
thought
was
she looked beautiful, yeah.
I thought it was a gorgeous dress.
Well, I mean, as long as it wasn't like way above the knee and very exaggerated, and like if she was very top heavy and it was very exaggerated like that, and she wasn't wearing like stripper heels with like real fish in them, like whatever, then as long as it was done respectfully and tastefully and per the culture or per whatever history, then I don't see anything wrong with it. But like I said, I'm just like all of us right here, we're just outside looking in.
Talking
it's
about
a totally different culture.
But, you know, we all have our, you know, what about people that try to appropriate our culture as LGBT people? Do we have a culture that's appropriated? Do we?
The whole pride thing, yeah, because I go to pride and it's just like this. It's not like rainbow everything. So if you want it in that sense, kind of, but that would be only if like a non-LGBT person in the community was doing it.
Yeah, because on the other side of that, I went out last year on Pride and purposely bought some like Pride, like Ray-Bans, you know, because Ray-Ban has like a, they haven't marketed it as a Pride pair of sunglasses, but it's rainbow mirrored lenses on their glasses.
How cute.
And I love that. I'm surprised. It's a missed opportunity for them because they have, it's a missed opportunity for them. And but they do, and last year, they came out like 2 Octobers ago. So, you know, last year was
cool.
like one of the first years they had the opportunity to even market them. They never did. At least I never saw it, but I bought them. And then I was wearing, you know, walking out of the rainbow flag and all that too. So I mean,
Well, that's not, but you're gay.
Mhm.
That's not appropriating gay culture. If, you know, and beyond the rainbow, what are some drag, you know? Are straight people stealing our culture when they get it, do all
Well,
the drag?
that's already been, I mean,
that's mainstream now. You can't do anything
and
about it.
I don't like it.
Saturday Night
but
Live talked
that's
about
just-
drag.
You don't like
Yeah.
drag, or you don't
No,
like it
I don't
being
like
mainstream?
it being mainstream because it was in my, and I haven't seen all of the videos, like all the movies of like the history. Like I've seen Paris is Burning,
Mm-hmm.
but I know there's another one with Crystal of Asia, the Queen. I haven't seen that one, so I
haven't
don't
seen that
know.
one.
Yeah, well, I didn't know about it until Drag Race All Stars 3.
Mm.
So I didn't even know that was I didn't know that was a movie. I didn't know it was a thing. And so I haven't seen all of these like historical gay films about like the underground stuff, especially about voguing or like drag when it first started. But I don't think it was ever meant to be like a mainstream culture. I think it should have just been kind of like substream, not mainstream.
Well, it's interesting because a lot of it, you know, it ties into the idea that when by it going mainstream, it allows things to become kind of more normalized and become more accepted. You know, like I
That's
talked
a
about.
double-edged sword, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they talked about, you know, because I remember, I forget who even said it, but it's like, you know, Will and Grace. That wasn't a show for gay people. That was a show for straight people to get used to the idea of quirky, fun gay people, you know?
Mhm.
And so it's kind of the same thing with, like, I personally have not ever seen an episode of RuPaul's Drag Race, don't kill me, but I personally just never seen an episode of it,
I can't
you
kill
know,
you made the drink.
yet,
So I can't
We
kill you, you
can't,
made the
that's
drink.
right, you did a good job.
yeah, when I did, you know,
Taste
when
that one.
you know, but I've worked very closely with a lot of drag queens, and I do, you know, love a lot of them, but, you know, something as simple as the mainstream side of it, I'm kind of just uninterested, you know, because to me, the show's not for me, the show's for people to look into it.
Okay, I love it personally.
But that's becoming like a new thing
Mhm.
now. In the beginning, when it was, in my opinion, of course, when it was first coming up, it was like this new thing, and it's fizzled out a little bit.
Yeah.
But a lot of my friends said, "Oh, it's not my thing. I don't really watch it. I don't really care for the drama, or sometimes the way it's portrayed, or how the drag queens are portrayed, or that I don't appreciate RuPaul's view on certain things, and it's become very political, and it's become all about money and this and that." I'm like, yeah, just like everything else that goes mainstream, it is political. It becomes about money. It becomes about like pleasing your donors and pleasing whoever's your
the
viewers.
advertisers and
Exactly.
the people who are watching.
That's one of the double-edged swords that goes with going mainstream. So
letting other people, I mean, it's, for some of us, being subculture was great. We liked not being normal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we didn't like being beat up on the streets. I don't like that one as much as I like the other one straight. No, I like the other one. The reposado is very smooth. This one tastes more like just tequila.
you can taste that it's tequila.
Yes.
But it tastes very. But it's not bad.
No, it's
At
not
all.
bad. It's just different. from
It
this
is
one.
good quality compared to.
Well, tequila.
Yeah.
Lots of
Yeah.
other tequilas. Some very expensive tequilas that I've tasted don't.
Because that's how it is with vodka. Some of the really like Belvedere and Sky and Smirnoff, some of them like they get rave reviews, and I'm over here like, I just want that big gallon of plastic, whatever, because that's the best for me.
Yeah. It all
Because that's
depends on your
what I
taste.
like, and my liver still works, so
Yeah.
it works for me. Right, I still have enough years to go.
But, you know, I wonder, and there are some folks in the African American community who get mad about cultures being appropriated, their culture, and I think that's true. I think African American culture, a lot of people take from that, you know, whether they take from it to make fun of it, or it's, you know, rock and roll music, or whatever. A lot of things have come out of that culture, and the African American community doesn't get credit for having helped start a lot of this. Does that make sense?
It does, but if you're looking to get credit for something in life, you're gonna be waiting a long time.
No. It's not about getting credit for it. It's about taking from it and acting like this is mine and I did this, and the culture that I took it from is being oppressed and put down. And I'm not talking about an individual person wanting credit. I'm talking about giving
Like
credit
an
where it's
actual
due to the
culture,
community,
yeah.
the culture that this grew out of. But at the same time, there's this part of me, and it's difficult for me to think I have a right to say this as a white person, but African American culture is not homogenous. African American culture in the South is not the same as African American culture in the North, because culture in the South overall is not the same as it is in the North. And African culture is not homogenous. You know, there's different things from different countries and different cultures within different countries. So it's hard for me to say that, you know, you have to know the difference between taking something and abusing it or claiming credit for, or disrespecting something that has a sacred value or symbolism to somebody, and then paying tribute to a culture by wearing a certain fashion or wanting to know about a certain style of dress or makeup or religion or spirituality. I mean, how are we going to appreciate and learn about things if we don't explore them?
I talked about that in my paper. It was one of my finals, and I did talk about
Recently?
Yeah,
Okay.
like I think. What are we? Friday?
You're talking about just this week?
Yeah,
Okay.
just this week. It was earlier this week. I think I turned it on Sunday, where I had mentioned that because I went to a Wiccan ceremony
Mm-hmm.
meeting, and it was similar to Catholicism in some of the practices, but
Mhm.
it was portrayed a little differently. But it was the same, like it was the same thing. And how, in order for us to grow as a people and for us to understand another culture, you need to be able to go and ask questions and feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
And go to a meeting or go and go on a forum or go online and kind of like figure it out on your own, kind of like try to begin that understanding and then kind of reach out. But
Mm-hmm.
unless, like, we all have to be open to questions and be open to answering things that can get uncomfortable, because that's how we end up growing as a whole with all of our different cultures and all of that. Because it was a little interesting for me to go to a Wiccan ceremony, but only because I knew nothing about it. All I know is that, like, they're witches and it's weird. That's all I knew about it.
Which is not really accurate.
And it was totally, completely different. I mean, I got there and it was just like, just hanging out. There's nothing, like, there's no skull or you know,
Pentagrams on the floor.
yeah, there wasn't sheep's blood somewhere. Like, it was just like normal people having their own relationship with Mother Nature.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like the base of the religion, because it's a nature-based religion.
Yeah.
It was really interesting.
All right, we're getting close to 5 o'clock here, and close to enough tequila for us for the day.
Mm-hmm.
Until 5 for the work day.
But I'm going to tell you what.
Right, until 5:01.
Until 5:01.
This is good stuff.
This is good
really
stuff.
good stuff. This, I think,
Reposado.
I like this one in terms of just drinking it as a shot, the reposado. And I preferred
Blanco.
the Blanco in the margarita, and I love this with the sugar. I've never had that. The strawberry's good. I thought I wouldn't like it, but I do. I like it.
I usually get frozen margaritas because it takes you longer to drink it, but I like slushy stuff.
True, but you could take this and
Guess it's a bottom thing.
if I had thought to bring the damn it, what am I trying to say? My blender.
Blender.
Oh,
Sorry. Senior moment. If I thought to bring a blender, we could have had frozen slushies, margaritas. You know?
Join us next week.
For part
Frozen
2.
slushy
Part
margaritas.
2.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Glorious has $4 house margaritas on the rocks or
for Cinco de
frozen.
Mayo? Or just all the time?
All the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're probably not Tres Agaves. Want to say
No,
thank
they're
you to the Tres Agaves folks for sending us this and letting us test it all out. And go on DallasVoice.com, look under the Instant Tea blog, and you're going to find some recipes there for other types of margaritas. So, thank you again, guys. Thanks for coming up, being my special guest.
Oh, my little
you know, I love to have you
fashionably
here. Fashionably late, it's okay. I didn't know you were going to, I thought you were with Israel. I didn't know you were going to
I kept texting Israel my updates. I'm like, hey, I'm almost there. I'm on my way. I'm just parking. And then I got nothing. I was like, oh, he's probably like telling him. I was like, oh, I'm fine. And then now I'm like, oh, cool. He's not coming at all. Great.
No,
I checked the wrong person.
he sent me a picture of it. It's like halfway in the road from the parking lot, and he was waiting on the mechanic. So Israel, honey, we hope that you get your car fixed, because we need you up here next week.
We hope you get a new engine.
Thank you so much, Nicholas, for coming in and being our bartender and our special guest as well here on, and I appreciate it. So I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to tell everybody to pick up Dallas Voice, read the stories, check out the calendars, and find out what you want to do this weekend. There's plenty going on. So we'll see you next week about 4 o'clock, 4-ish.
4-ish.
We'll see you. We'll be here, and we hope that you come back, and maybe we have more tequila. Maybe we'll have more margaritas.
Yes.
See y'all next week. Thanks a lot.
Bye.